I enjoy it.
Do you?
Yeah, as long as they like it, I
Yeah.
don't mind.
Yeah. Well, it's important. It's so important. It's inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, you've lived this for your whole
Yes.
life,
Yeah.
but for others, I mean, it's a whole different way
Yeah.
of thinking about
Yeah.
the world.
They try, they fight to get me on TV because a lot of people write to the TV and say, we want so and so, we want that program repeated, sometimes
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
But I avoid because you become too cheap then.
Okay. Right. 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 Like a
You know,
commodity gets
you
lessened.
just wait
Yeah.
for a couple of months and then give a hard knock.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Let me see if John is waving at us, and he is waving.
Yeah.
So, well, Dr. Aryaratne, I am so pleased you could be with us today, and we're going to spend some time talking a little bit about your life and your
Yes.
work.
Yes.
And I guess maybe the first thing I'd like to ask you about is just tell us about Sarvodaya, the
Yes.
philosophy of it, its actions, its mission, and so forth.
Right. Actually, the Sarvodaya word was coined by Mahatma Gandhi because Mahatma Gandhi believed that after winning independence for India, India should be a society working for the well-being of all. In other words, not ruled by a majority, but a participatory system of democracy and economic justice where everybody is looked after equally. That kind of vision he had. For that he coined this word Sarvodaya from 2 Sanskrit words, well-being of all. When I saw this word in 1959 for the first time, I thought this exactly fits in to our language and what I have been doing. By the time I have been working for about 2-3 years, trying to get young people together, students, teachers and others, go to very socially backward and economically backward villages and help people, breaking barriers. So, it was not with any kind of ill will towards anybody, but with love towards all. We promoted this movement. So, I thought Sarvodaya, the well-being of all, we should translate it as awakening of all. I come from a Buddhist country, Buddhist background. Buddha means the awakened one, the one who has realized the truth, the one who knows the reality. So, if we are to understand the reality, both reality about ourselves as well as the world, we have to awaken our personality to the fullest. So, Sarvodaya therefore was a good word for us to mean awakening of all. So, we thought we should awaken human beings as individuals, awaken them as families, awaken them as communities, awaken them as nations, awaken them as a world community. And this awakening, when your objective is all, you have to have absolute non-violence in your dealings. You can't have violence. You have to have truthfulness. You can't be selfish, you have to be unselfish. So, Sarvodaya therefore is a movement where truth, non-violence and self-denial are practiced to help everybody.
Why do you think, in reflecting back over your life, why you personally felt compelled to engage in this sort of work and enter this path?
Well, I came from a village where majority of people are very poor. Then we had 2 or 3 very rich families. Then 10-15 middle class families. So, I belong to a middle class family. So, I had the opportunity to get college education, but most people didn't have. So, in my own village I started to teach whatever I learnt at school in the evenings to poorer children who had no opportunity to learn. So, that way then as I went on studying and finally became a teacher, I thought I should devote my entire life to to help people to overcome poverty. Poverty and powerlessness are two things going together. When you are powerless, you are poor. When you are poor, you are powerless. Then people take to violence when they are poor and when they are discriminated. So I thought, based on the Buddhist teachings, because Buddha means the awakened one, a Buddhist can't be a sectarian person. Buddhist has to accept all living beings, not only human beings, all living beings and even plants you can't destroy. So I thought we should translate the teachings of the Buddha into development work, into welfare practices and all that. So for that, everybody, not only Buddhists, Christians, Hindus, Muslims, everybody joined. And of course then when this movement was expanding, I had to, after 14 years of both working as a teacher and promoting this movement, I couldn't go on like that. So I gave up my teaching and became a full-time volunteer. So 50 years I have been therefore promoting this movement, and we are now working in 15,000 villages in our country. We have 355 centers serving these villages. Then we have 34 district level centers. We have 12 development education institutes and a headquarters, and about 12 national level independent bodies related to Sarvodaya. So it's a vast movement of trying to build an alternative economics, alternative politics, alternative way of doing things, where peace and no poverty are objectives.
What do you think the success has, what do you attribute the enormous success of your organization to?
I think our sacrifice. Now, I am not a rich man. I didn't accumulate any wealth. I don't have an inch of land, nothing. But everything I earned, or everything other people gave me, I gave it to the people. So there are millions of people benefited by it. Now, last week alone, we opened 400 houses for 400 families who were victims of tsunami. So that kind of thing gives you the joy of living. So I never wanted power or wealth or position or publicity, but this kind of work where you see the poor people smile in their face because they got a little more food in their stomach, something to wear, you know, clean water to drink, then some form of income. Then they become happy, seeing that we become happy. So that's how this movement progressed, and today it has about 3,000 full-time workers. So every full-time worker, we may have several hundred volunteers. So now my intention is that this movement should become self-sustaining. So I'm going out and trying to create something like an endowment, so that next 50 years also our people can go on without any problem, because I am now, though I feel young, still I am a little bit old.
Sure, sure. Well, what do you think the secret is to being able to cultivate that kind of selflessness in people? How do we create a world where that's a greater possibility? Because in the United States, as you know, I'm sure, one of the concerns for many of us is the material focus, the focus on material things and objects and possessions, and that seems anathema. That seems the opposite of the kind of values that you're expressing.
You see, even very rich people, wealthiest people, even they don't think of people who don't have a square meal a day. They enjoy whatever wealth they have. They also come to a point where they begin to feel, what is this for? Am I happy with all this? I may have all the luxuries in the world, but I am happy. Now they will start looking for joy of living. Joy of living cannot come by satisfaction of the five senses. So what we do is, all the time we try to satisfy our ears, our eyes, our nose, our tongue and our body, and get some kind of satisfaction in our mind. But as a person matures, as a person begins to see that this life is impermanent, any moment we can say part this world, then that person begins to look around. Then when they see poverty, they think, oh, I will do something. Because all over the world, there are so many people, maybe half are not living with enough basic needs satisfied. So then they would think that, well, a part of my wealth I should sacrifice. Then they begin to become very happy. I know so many rich people during tsunami. He came to me and said, I want to put up a house, I want to put up 10 houses, I want to contribute to a sanitation program because so many, over 56,000 people got killed. So many families were stranded. So they came. So I was surprised that after all in our society, there are philanthropic minded people. I was not happy with the rich at that time. But after this I changed my mind. When there's a challenge, they also come forward. So I think you have to taste it. You know, now when I first went to villages and worked, I remember what my mother said. Mother said, you know, I am so happy that you are doing this, because I used to send a small amount of money for the upkeep of the family home from my salary. He said, keep that also. Use it for this work. My father, I won what they call the Nobel Prize for Asia, Magsaysay Award in 1969. My villagers had rushed to the father and said, here radio announced that your son won the Magsaysay Award. Then he said, tomorrow I'll tell you whether he's my son. You know, this is what this old man said, I'll tell you tomorrow. So all the newspaper people came to me and asked me, what are you going to do with the money? I said, I'm not going to accept 1 cent. All this money I will donate to start development education programs which will lead to helping the poor. This was in the newspapers. I don't know the English word they used. The English newspapers carried Magsaysay Award winner whisks away the money or some word like that.
Gives it to charity.
So it's a huge amount of money which would have made us a capitalist in no time. He called the people and said, look, that is my son.
Yeah, after this,
Yes.
after this.
That is my son. That is what I want him to be. So they were a great encouragement to me. Both of them died in their 90s. So they actually happiest parents to see their son not pursuing after any wealth or comforts, but all the time moving about to the poor around the country and not getting into power politics.
But how do we inculcate those kinds of values in young people? I mean, when should we start, and what do you recommend?
You know, I started with teenagers, school children. Even today, most of the people who initiate development work in villages are give them an opportunity to donate their skills, whatever knowledge they have, their physical energies, to do something that will benefit other people. Now from United States, during the tsunami, I think Peace Corps volunteers were working there. All of them were working with us. Then other young people, they all rushed to Sarvodaya headquarters, saying, give us work. And they were working, you know, day and night to help the people. They enjoyed it. So give opportunities for young people to serve. In any country, even in the United States, there are so many things that young people can constructively engage themselves in. When they do that, then that becomes a kind of a craze, and that's a good thing, you know.
An
addiction. So otherwise they will get to with these luxuries around them in a modern world. They will get misguided and they will take to a kind of life which is not good for young people.
Well, tell me a little bit about sort of the 4 Buddhist values.
Yes. Now, there are several. Actually, the Buddhist value systems and the beliefs we have in our society, not every belief, but good belief that does not do any harm to anybody but good. Now say first, Buddha has enlightened us as to who a really progressive human being is. He preached about 4 values. He said these are the divine qualities that human beings can cultivate. 1, loving kindness. That is, learn to develop respect for all life. That's why every morning and evening, and whenever we start a meeting, we all sit down, lightly close our eyes, put our right hand on the left hand like this. Then we say, let us look at our breathing in and out. Concentrate on breathing. That means to bring about a one point of the mind. After a few minutes of getting the mind sort of emptied of any thoughts, you begin to think, may my body be healthy. May my mind be free from greed and ill will and hatred and all that. Similarly, may all the people in my family, in my village, in my community, in my city, in my country, in my world, may all people be well and happy. In mind and body, may they be healthy. May the entire nature be peaceful and healthy. In other words, you dissolve or you become a part of the entire universe. In other words, instead of you being an individual, you become a part of a universal energy. It's an unbelievable strength. Now, after coming here, I don't think I had even 3 hours of sleep from the 7th. Every day I have been talking 3, 4 places, because I know the people are getting benefited, they want to listen, they want to share their experiences, and I enjoy it. I never felt tired. So another 3 weeks to go, still I want, and I'm just after open heart operation, still I am managing. So the joy you get by practicing loving kindness, you cannot say in words, but loving kindness is the first principle one has to cultivate. Second is compassionate action. It's not enough to have loving kindness unless you put it into compassionate action. There are many ways doing. There is a plant which needs water. Take a little, pour the water into the plant, think, hey, grow well, think like that. That affects you. There's a, say, animal, bird or somebody, feed that fellow. There's a human being who needs your help. There is a misguided young person, win him over, try to advise him to get into the correct path. You see that I have excess money. I'll find out, yeah, this money can be properly used, not just to give away for charity, but see to it that it is properly utilized. And now in my country, I get people to donate money to put up houses or wells or playgrounds or school buildings or things like that, you know. So all these are compassionate actions. Then you get a joy. That's called the joy of living. And then when you do this, some people say, look at that silly man, he is wasting money, helping the poor, why doesn't he enjoy life with that money? He does know he gets a greater joy by looking after them than. Then some people say, great, and praise you. So learn to accept loss and gain, name and blame with equanimity. So fourth quality is equanimity. So 4 values are loving kindness, compassionate action, altruistic joy, and equanimity. Similarly, when we are a group, there are 4 other values. One is sharing. If a group is to progress and to be happy, they must use, they must share whatever they have, knowledge or resources, for the well-being of everybody. Then speaking pleasant language, never be angry. Always use pleasant words. Never use words that bring one person against another. You know, never use engage in useless gossip. So that way, if you control your thoughts, then such a group will prosper. Never get together, for example, for a bad thing. Now sometimes all friends get together and drink till they get drunk. You know, that's not constructive meeting. You know, so constructive work is get together for a good thing. Because in the world there are so many problems, for the solution of which every citizen can contribute. Therefore, let's get together and do something constructive. Similarly, equality in association. That does not mean that we are all equal. Equality like the 5 fingers. If the fingers are of the same length, you can't do anything, right?
Fair enough, that's true.
This qualitative equality. So these 4 principles Buddha advocated for families and groups and communities and even nations. Then he advocated for rulers, for example, values. He said rulers should share their power. They should be of highest morality. Unlike other people, rulers should have high morality. They can't be corrupt. They should be able to recognize talent in society, pick them up, give them all the encouragement to serve the country, society. They should be straightforward. They should be impartiality in conduct. I am so happy that a great human being, Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, was recognized by this country, by the Congress. I think that is one of the greatest things I value in this country. I am so happy the President himself was there to award it. So that is for a person who had these qualities, you know, impartiality, then composure in conduct, then patience, then the never take revenge, you know, then non-hatred, then non-violence. These 10 qualities were advocated for rulers and leaders, you know. So how beautiful if these values people remember. Now, lot of very saintly people I have met, spiritually advanced people, Buddhist, Hindu, Christian, Muslim. These people have told me, whenever you do something, whatever the responses you get, link it to your own personality. So now the kind of work I am doing is not that easy. For example, when in a violent situation you try to apply non-violence, you become a target for violent people's violent actions. So I have faced many situations like that, and I am fortunate to be alive in that kind of world. So you have to have a great inner strength to do this work and complete faith. Now, I go to a village area and I find that people strongly believe that malaria can be eradicated if people follow 5 principles. So I take scientist, biologist, sociologist, another friend from the universities. So now see whether there is any scientific basis on this. Their beliefs. We found that the 5 golden principles they spoke about were scientific. These people said, so we implemented a program with a university here, I forget, many years ago, with Oxfam America helping us at that time, only that project. We conducted a good anti-malaria campaign which was very beneficial. So beliefs should not be just discarded because they are beliefs. Most beliefs have a scientific foundation which we have forgotten. So let's discover. Now there are certain beliefs we must not accept. For example, it brings about any kind of pain on people. if they ill-treat women and children, if any belief divides people, these things we have to avoid. But most beliefs are good. You know, some people, the way you handle nature, if you are unkind to nature, nature will hit back. So you have to protect nature. So these beliefs, now my parents, I remember even my sisters today, even my wife today, they never go to bed without cleaning the entire house, not only the kitchen. When we ask why, in the night, divine gods come to visit. They bless
They
you
want
if
to
you
have
are
a clean
clean.
house, yes.
Yes. You know, these are good beliefs. Why not?
Okay, I see. So your way of looking at belief at that level is sort of the criteria for belief.
That's
If
right,
a
open
belief-
mind.
mhm.
With an open
A
mind.
belief, so in your view, a belief, the way to judge the goodness or quality of a belief is by its impact.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. You know, there were 7 beliefs at the time of the Buddha. There was a king called Ajasatta. That king wanted to conquer certain self-governing independent communities. So he sent one of his ministers to the Buddha and asked whether this king will win the war. Now, Buddha is not an advisor for making war. He is totally opposed to any kind of violence, even killing an insect. He didn't say anything. He simply looked at his disciple who was seated there without looking at this minister. He asked some questions from him. Ananda, this community of Vajjins, do they meet frequently? Yes, sir, they meet frequently. When they meet, do they meet in peace, discuss in peace and disperse in peace? Yes, sir. Thirdly, he asked, do they impose laws that cannot be followed? No, sir. Do they obey the laws already imposed in society? Yes, sir. Do they respect and protect women and children? Yes, sir. Do they continue to perpetuate the celebrations which their forefathers were having? Every community had some kind of ceremony. Once a year or twice a year, those are very important days where all the... Do they continue with that? I said, yes, sir. And nobody can, not even the whole world can come and conquer them. That's all he said. So Ajasatta never tried to conquer these people.
It's wonderful.
You know, like that, these beliefs, we should not throw them away. Now, if I may be permitted, I may appear to be a fool, doesn't matter. I appear to be a fool to many people, but later they realized there was some intelligence in what I said. Say tsunami happened. Here you immediately after there was Katrina or something here. No?
That's right.
Yeah. Then there are these earthquakes and so many things happening. We attribute all this to certain physical disequilibrium that
Underlying
conditions
conditions, physical
that
conditions.
we have, human beings. In a way, there must be a big truth in it. Because even the climatic, this warming, we created this, you know, with all this. Now, there are 5 values. In one of the sutras, one of the sermons, Buddha mentions. He said, above all laws that parliaments or kings or anybody will impose, there are 5 cosmic laws. Laws of nature, which human beings should not violate. First one is laws pertaining to genes.
Genes.
genes, genetic order. We may do all kinds of experiments and all that, but don't try to bring about kind of permanent changes in the genetic system. That will destroy all the human beings or of the entire living world. So don't play about with genes, respect that genetic order. That's why there was a belief from, I don't know, these countries, time immemorial, that children of the same family never get married. Even the first cousins don't get married there, because if that happens, the children are
Genetics, yeah.
abnormal. So genes, therefore, that is the first law. Second is climatic. Don't do anything that will disturb the
Really?
seasons.
Really?
Uttuniyam it's called. Now it has, we have violated that, so we face it. Third is what is called kammaniyam. Kammaniyam is a cause and effect chain, you know. Whenever we do something, think of the consequences. You know, it multiplies. Therefore, never violate that law of looking at both sides. If I do this, this will happen. This will be the reaction. Fourth is chittaniyam. Chittaniyam is the mind. The I says out of all, mind is the most powerful. Mind energy is much superior to any other energies we can create. That's why I organize in a big way these peace meditation programs. Some people used to laugh, now no longer they laugh, because now they believe there is something in it. Now when we 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, up to 850,000 we have got together into one place, sit down and meditate for peace. There we try to do is silence the mind and then wish that peace comes and people give up arms, people give up terrorism and all that. Now this is called chittaniyam. That is the cosmic law pertaining to the mind. Last is pertaining to phenomena. Phenomena is that when you take even an institutional arrangements, over a period of time something has evolved. The inter-family relationships. Now don't disturb that kind of thing by artificial means, you know. Anyway, these are 5 cosmic laws. I am trying to get at scholars to go into research and redefine them or give greater. I have written on these things, but to my knowledge. So these 5 cosmic principles have a lot to do with these tsunamis and tidal waves and earth slides and earthquakes.
What you're saying is that these natural phenomena, the phenomena we attribute to environmental, external to the human phenomena, you're saying that actually these are a manifestation of...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You can't separate. We are one.
So the human mind, the human body, the human heart is inextricably linked to these, the manifestations at this level.
Absolutely, yes.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Huh.
And there are lots of research going on in this. And I met, of course, I don't want to mention their names, some very reputed scientists who confide in you and say, well, this is unbelievable. I have a good example, you know, I never go about with any kind of security. I go with somebody who can be at this age and after this operation, it's difficult to move about. I had never thought of my personal physical safety from terrorists, you know. I always say, if anybody wants to get rid of me, I have done enough for this world. You know, I have been safe. Even when we heard the fire alarm now,
Yeah.
I thought nothing is going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, and you were right. You were right
I
once
was
again.
thinking
Yes.
it's just a false
Yes,
thing.
yes, and it was.
They
It was
never
indeed.
got
Yeah.
excited. So I think our mind,
Do you feel hopeful?
very hopeful. I think humanity is realizing our folly. Yes,
You think in time
we are turning
will-
around.
Yeah,
Wars will stop.
yeah. You think.
Yeah, now we have got into it, we don't know how to get out of it.
Ah.
That's what happens.
Ah.
Once you get into it, you get enmeshed in it, and social, economic, political, bureaucratic, everything gets
It keeps-
entangled.
yeah,
You don't know how to
perpetuates,
disentangle
yeah.
them. But I think human beings are capable of entangling this puzzle and building a peaceful world. I am sure more and more people will get interested in eradicating poverty. For example, I can do, if somebody gave me a helping hand, I would have done. I would have eliminated poverty from my country in 2 years. 2 years. So I believe
that.
in 2 years,
Yeah.
you can create a no poverty society in the world. People will think I'm mad. No, I'm not mad. I can see it happening. You know?
And that's part of the key, isn't it? From
Yes,
this
yes.
perspective, is
That's why I
seeing-
said I'm
yeah.
very optimistic. Of course, when people are not sensible enough to solve their problems non-violently, they will fight each other, kill each other. Some innocents, most innocents get killed in the process. What to do? That is their bad luck.
So the terrorists, for example,
Yeah.
all of the resources and energy in this country that we've put into our war on terrorism.
Yeah.
Any commentary on that?
I think a government, whether it's the American government or Sri Lankan government or any other government, is bound to protect the citizens from terrorist groups or mad guys. That is one aspect. They should take necessary precautions. It's fine. I am not against that. But to remove the root cause of terrorism is much more important. For that we have to spend more energies, more money. For example, if you could use all the resources at your disposal to bring home to the minds of all human beings, violence will take you nowhere. And if any religious group professes violence to realize their objectives, we must say that is not a religion. Now, I have studied very, I would say that deep, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, basic, but I couldn't find anywhere in the original teachings violence. So, violence is not at all acceptable either to the civilized world or religious world. So, people should abstain from violence, but people take to violence because of injustice. So, injustices should be removed. Now, there is structural violence where a few people keep millions of people hungry. So, they are naturally the violence surfaces. That's why to prevent violence, to prevent terrorism, remove the causes that make people take to violence. So, this can be done if we plan it out in such a way and invest in that. So, I don't think this world should allow any longer both violence and poverty to go on. Both must be eliminated.
Amen. Yeah. We have to stop. But
Thank
this
you
has
very
been
much.
such a
Yes.
pleasure. I've
Thank you.
really
I'm
enjoyed this.
happy.
Very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
I want to give you a few moments to rest, and we'll walk over to our next venture, but you'll have a few minutes just to sit and have
It's
some
okay.
water. Okay? Wonderful. I very much enjoyed that.
Yes,
Thank you. Oh, I'm still locked in, and you are
Oh,
probably as
I
well.
am logged in too.
There we go.